So we're getting prepared for some construction work on Bowmore, our off-grid cabin. I've got a few more there, and then I've got a few 1x4s. So mistake number one, all right, there's all our pieces. Welcome to Retired for Life. I'm your host, Brian. I retired a few years ago after 30 years in a factory job as a machinist in a millwright. I needed to rediscover what life could really be like. When we purchased this property, the house had stood empty for over a year, and the property had been badly ravaged by poor logging practices. Since my retirement, I've been working to renovate the home and restore the surrounding forest to its natural beauty and attract wildlife back to the property. Join me as I learn about nature and working with wood to create the backdrop for this new chapter of our lives. Well, hello YouTube, and welcome back to Retired for Life. So we're getting prepared for some construction work on Bowmore, our off-grid cabin. Plus, I really need to get organized up at the sawmill with what lumber we've got. I'm kind of losing track, and I'm actually overproducing on one specific size. So I've brought all the lumber that I'm going to need, or at least most of it, for Bowmore down here and covered it up so it looks like quite a bit. But remember, this stuff is stacked with stickers in between all the boards, so that makes the piles look a lot bigger than they actually are. And we need to look at whether or not we're going to put up an actual building for lumber storage. I'm really back and forth on that one. Anyway, let's get back up to our lumber supply tents and have a look there. All right, so this is the storage dome that the roof gave in on. So I've got a new tarp to put up on that. And let's have a look what we have inside here. So I have got a pretty good pile of 2x6s right there and a few 2x4s. And then I've got these 1x6s on this side. Now both these stacks are 8 foot long. And you can see here I've got lots of 2x6s. And let's go up and look at the main storage dome where we've got the bulk of our lumber. So this small dome has got some of our 10-foot material. So you can see I've got some 10-foot long mixed 1x6s and 1x4s there. And then I've got more 2x6s. These are also 10-foot long 2x6s. So we go over to here. So I've been trying to tidy this up and get our lumber down from out of here to Bowmore. So our piles are getting pretty low. So you can see we're getting down on our 8-foot long 1x8 boards. Now that's what I've been using mostly for my board and batten. I've got a few more there, and then I've got a few 1x4s. And then our stack of 1x3s. We've got a pretty good pile of 1x3s. And then of course I've got another small stack of 2x6s, then a stack of 2x4s, and then another stack of 2x6s. Yeah, I think we have enough 2x6s to do us a while. So I need to sort this out so I've got room to bring lumber in again. We've got a lot of work here, a lot of lumber to move. All right, folks, another day out here sorting. I know it doesn't look like it from this point of view, but I am actually making progress, finally. So what we've got in here now, I've still got a bunch of 2x4s to bring in to continue building that stack. And there is all my 2x6s. Now I've left an alleyway between the two, which I wasn't doing before because I just had no room to do that because I had so much lumber. But we are getting a little more organized now. So again, it may look a little messy, but progress is being made. So mistake number one, which unfortunately was kind of unavoidable, partly due to my inexperience when I first started up that sawmill, which has been a number of years now, and partly from not having enough room. For one, I cut too much lumber and I ran out of room too quickly. So I haven't cut anything. I cut 0 logs this year so far, and last year. I've just been using what I've got stored. And as you can see, I've still got quite a bit left. The other thing I did that was a mistake was I cut too many sizes. I went with 1x6s because I wanted them for flooring down at Bowmore, our off-grid cabin, and a couple of other small jobs, but I didn't really need to do that. I could have stayed with 1x8s and done the flooring with 1x8s, done the other jobs with 1x8s. I didn't really need 1x6s. And I cut a bunch of 2x2s as well. Don't need them. The other big thing that I did was I cut way too many 2x6s. I mean, I've got, including my 10-footers and the ones that are down stacked up at Bowmore that you guys saw there, I've got over 200 2x6s. I just lost track, had them in too many places, kept cutting them, then went to 10-foot ones where I only needed a few 10-foot ones, and that's gotten out of hand. So I've got to rein all that stuff back and be much more selective about what it is I cut. And then try to keep the total amount under control. So I don't need large quantities of lumber anymore. I've got to let it dwindle down now, with the exception of the 1x8s 10-foot long that I still need for siding. I've got the back wall to do and the west wall to do of the house. So I need quite a few of those, the 1x8s and 1x3s for the battens. And that is all the major jobs I've got. I don't need this vast quantity of lumber anymore. And I don't want this mess. I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's been too much. It's cost me a lot of time. I've been days sorting this out, and I've still got days worth of work to go to finish tidying everything up. And it's tough slog. It's a lot of carrying. It's awkward taking stuff in that kind of quantity in and out of the tents. So I will be so glad when that's done. But anyway, we are going to leave that now for today and go on to a small fill-in job that I need to do before we get back to this. So let's have a look at that. So because of the weight of the 2 e-bikes we now have, my old rack, which was rated for 88 pounds, just isn't sturdy enough to do it. Now, the fellow who bought the gravel bike from me, the Specialized gravel bike, asked if I'd sell him the rack. So I sold him the rack real cheap, knowing that it really wasn't going to do me any good. So what I've done is bought this Cravot CyberRack E2, which is specifically made for e-bikes, and it's capable of carrying 200 pounds. Now, I'm not going to be anywhere near that with our 2 bikes, but it's nice and sturdy, so if we go any kind of distance or anything like that, it should be just fine. Or at least I think it's nice and sturdy. It looks like it. So what we're going to do is cut this box open, have a look at what we got and assemble this. We'll assemble it in place on the back of the Jeep here and see just how it looks. So it looks pretty well packed. So reading the reviews on Amazon about this, there is some back and forth. I mean, it gets a 4.5 out of 5-star rating, but there is some kind of back and forth about the quality of it as well. I did see some pictures of people who discovered that some of the pins don't line up at all in them, so they had issues with it. So that means there has been some manufacturing issues. But it does look like a pretty smart design, from my point of view anyway, at this point. And it does look like it's capable of carrying a lot of weight. And one of the things I really like about it is it comes with a ramp. It's going to make it so much easier to put these heavy bikes off and on of this rack. All right, we'll get to work assembling it, and we'll see how it goes. All right, there's all our pieces. I've got to say, from what I have seen so far, it is a nice heavy-duty rack. Yeah. And it will handle really big tires if you've got a fat bike, that kind of thing. Because there are fat bike e-bikes, I've seen them, and they have monstrous tires on them. So this will handle that too. One of the things I like about it is it has this lock. So the rack itself can't just be pulled off of the back of your vehicle. It's locked on. There is nothing that actually locks the bikes to the rack. You need to figure that out yourself. All right, let's see if we can get this thing put together here. Well, there we are, folks. We've got it all together. It actually went together quite easily. I had no misalignment issues or anything like that. The one thing I did notice was the supports that hold this back wheel tray on. The back one was bent. Not very much, but it was bent a little bit. But I straightened it out very easily with a block of wood and a hammer. So that's been the only thing in that respect that I've noticed. The other thing I would say about it is it's massive. It sticks out a long way. Now, I've been thinking about maybe I might want to put a set of extended lights that I can plug into the wiring for the trailer and put lights on this side of it. I think I might do that. I'm going to order those and put them on there just as a little extra thing. I mean, even with the other bike rack that I had, which didn't stick out anywhere near as far as this, I noticed for some reason people would get ridiculously close to the bikes, and it just always scared me. So I am going to look into doing that, but for now we're going to move this thing over in the shade, have some lunch, and then we'll do a test fit of one of the bikes. see how that goes. See how easy it is to put off and on. All right, see you after lunch. All right, folks, let's see how sturdy this thing is. One of the things I like is how you can lock it into place. It's got this threaded piece in here, so when you bolt this into your hitch receiver, you can tighten it up, and that will really hold the hitch part in there good and tight. So let's try that. All right. Yeah, that's really solid. The other nice thing is you can lock it. All right, let's see how this goes. So I've got the center posts folded down so they're both out of the way, and I've got one holder here. We'll secure that in at the very back position. That really has a hold of it. Okay, so yeah, keep in mind this is the first time we've loaded these bikes. So right now, her handlebars are touching my seat. Yeah, so that is an issue at the moment, because it looks like in order to make things work, I have to lower my seat. Now the ramp stores really easily. And that's it, the ramp is on. But it is tricky to see the tail lights. So now that we've got that figured out, it is really easy to load. So I like that, but I want to do something to improve the visibility of the taillights. So I'll have to go back on Amazon and search around there and see what I can find. So when you've got two bikes on here, there's just a lot of blockage from the lights. All right, we're going to take it for a little test run down the road and see how sturdy it is. Well, that went really well. I am very impressed with how sturdy this stand is. I took it down some rough roads. I took it out onto the main road, so we were up to highway speed, and everything worked so securely. I'm very pleased. So let's get this bike off. Well, let's try folding it up now and see what it's like to have it out of the way. So one of the comments I saw was these center bars could come in and hit your vehicle. And I can see how that could happen. But I think and this head rotates, by the way, so you can line it up any which way. So if you turn that sideways, yeah, they cannot now go in and hit anything. So my impression right now of the Cravot E2 CyberRack is really good. I'm very pleased with it. It does seem really sturdy. I had no problem putting it together. The only flaw that I did see through this whole thing was that one support that was bent in a little bit, which I very easily fixed. So extremely sturdy, really easy to put the bikes on. I was thrilled to find a way to put both these bikes on without having to change the seats or anything like that. So no adjustment necessary to the bikes to put them on and take them off. So that's really good. Alright folks, so I think tomorrow we're going to go for a ride. So we've made pretty good progress with sorting the lumber out. There's still days work there, but we are getting there. And I got this assembled and installed, and I'm very pleased with it. And we'll give it another run tomorrow and spend a little bit of time on the bikes tomorrow. That should be fun. Alright folks, so I think that's going to be it for today's video. Now I know I did not shoot pretty much any video footage at all of me moving lumber around, because I figured that that was just maybe a teeny bit more exciting than watching paint dry, so there really wasn't much point in me shooting all of that. But like I said, we're making progress. Slowly but surely we're getting there, and then we'll be able to get to that wall. So tomorrow we're going to devote to having a bit of fun. Alright folks, thanks very much for coming along. If you've got any thoughts, comments, suggestions, anything like that, let me know. If you have any experience with bike racks and moving around e-bikes, let me know what you have found and what works for you. So remember to stay safe out there, be good to each other, and we will see you out on the trails the next time.
I will you are.